Welcome back to the Amazon European Masters Match Point KC. As you can see on the screens there, as we very fancily pan round to myself, Viperoon and Foxdrop going to bring you all the action. Ban LeBlanc.
Yeah, step one. Step one is definitely ban LeBlanc. And step two, hope and pray. I feel like KC have just been on another level so far in this series. UCAM haven't had any answers. As soon as like 15 minutes comes around and the skirmishes start opening up, KC just take control of the entire game, and UCAM are just being put in the dirt.
And now we have to ask the question of how do you resolve this issue? Do you draft for skirmishing? Do you draft for the fights and kind of get yourselves the best opportunity there? Do you draft super early and try and just win before it gets to that point? We'll have to find out. Is UCAM on the blue side again? We got KC on the red and Ziggs and Rise. We'll see you some point, buddies.
Get rid of him. Just get rid of LeBlanc. Just do it. Just ban LeBlanc. You saw the damage charts. He passes the eye test and there, yeah, there it is. All right. That's gone now, and I think that's very fair. SAKEN has been dominating on this LeBlanc pick right here, and I was going to say he might now default onto something like the Twisted Fate. That's also going to get taken away too. I think it's very fair to say that SAKEN has been the MVP of this series so far. His early game and his lane phase plus his skirmishing has been really what's given KC the edge. Take that away by just pinching his champion pool. Gonna be that first pick leasing as well. Take that away from both Cinkrof and Cabochard.
But it will allow you to go for something like this Viego. The Zinzao, of course, is open as well, but we saw KC didn't want to take that response into the lease, and they preferred the Viego last time around. We'll have to see if Cinkrof is in the same mind here again. But there's plenty of power left on the table. The Aphelios, which has done very well in the first game. Second game, I think xMatty was the sacrificial lamb in a lot of plays. So whether he'll go for something a little bit more flexible. The Ezreal notably is up this time around.
That's a good shout. I actually quite like the Ez as a pick in general, especially with the way that excuse me, sorry, the way that KC have been playing. They kind of just leave Matty alone a little bit. Matty's been doing absolutely brilliantly, just soaking up all the pressure on Aphelios and still doing great. But yeah, okay, so there it is. Slap that one down. But yeah, again, you're just looking at this kind of like, I'm just, for me, this whole draft revolves around what SAKEN picks up in that mid lane. Gonna be that Ez as the response. Wow, very fast lock-ins here. Ez Leona, the response for UCAM.
Question is, do they want to take the Thresh now? Because KC have that opportunity the first time really this series where they've got the Aphelios and then a support's been locked in that isn't Thresh. Hantera going on to something different for the first time with the Ezreal means that they have the opportunity for this really safe bot lane that doesn't do too badly into Ezreal here.
Yeah, for sure. The question is, yeah, all right. So I think this is a big change right here from the style that we've seen in the first two games from KC. The Azir, a very different champion from LeBlanc. Can't do the same kind of early game power, won't have the same kind of lane pressure as well, doesn't pair up quite as nicely with the Viego, and obviously isn't just going to pop out of Fog of War and like 70% your health. So we'll be seeing a bit of a slower one here from KC, and I think that's exactly what UCAM wanted because the game was running away from them way too quickly. Put a little bit of a pause break on that one by forcing enemy teams draft Azir.
Bronze been taken away once again. Victor and Gnar, two solo lane options UCAM don't have any more. The other question is, will this Thresh be removed, or are UCAM perfectly comfortable playing into it? Is it something that Targamas has shown too much on? Or is it a case of just being like, we've got the solution?
Yeah, honestly, I have been a little bit surprised with KC's like not wanting to draft Thresh, considering they've played Aphelios every single game as well so far. Aphelios Thresh is a very standard combination, and Hantera has been so good on it too. Like for me, it's just a no-brainer. You just get rid of it. It's perfect combination with Aphelios here, and it stops. As I mean, I know Hantera is already picking Leona, but still, in theory, this is what I would have liked to have seen from the previous two drafts. But we'll see what it's going to be. Targamas is hovering a very beautiful pick, and instead slightly uglier here, but still I do prefer it. You know, this is what I say. I think it just works perfectly well right here into what KC want to do. The skirmishing power as well from the Thresh is very high because you've got a lot of pick potential. But now we've talked so much about SAKEN. There's another solo lane now on the side of KC that's been playing very well so far, and he's gonna get the last pick and the counter pick in this draft.
And it's very likely to be into the Jayce. It will be into the Jayce as it's the Syndra lock-in from Baca. Again, was much more impressed by the Syndra than the Galio we saw in the first game. It still wasn't enough to secure the win. We'll have to see if he can do so this time around when he's not into the LeBlanc. But as you said, Cabochard, he's got the opportunity to pick up something a little bit different from what we've seen. The Gangplank is available as well if he wants to go in that direction. But it looks like a couple of seconds rounding on down, it's going to be the Wukong.
All right, so we've gone for the team fighting here for KC. Still some pretty good skirmishing power though. SAKEN may be on that Azir, but you know, you definitely don't underestimate the power of Wukong in skirmishes. You've still got Viego for resets and Thresh to make plays happen as well. But still, you know, you want to group up, you want to go for those team fights, and you've got that big damage coming out of the backside there from xMatty as well on the Aphelios. But I would say, you know, this UCAM draft is more about the kind of like the early game, more about the lane phase, more about those skirmishes. You know, you've got a lot of power in the Syndra, in the Jayce, with that Lee Sin, very good early game jungler, and Leona, who's going to be walking around, finding a lot of plays, finding a lot of picks. Really now, UCAM are going to have to do their best KC cosplay if they want to pull this one out.
We'll have to see if they're able to do so, because what we've seen so far is, yeah, there's been differences where it's been marginal, but as you've said, as the desk have kind of said as well, you can look a little bit off Corp's pace, right? They don't look like they're on the same level across the board, really. And I think a lot of that is K-Corp showing up in a big way. Cabochard, you pointed out, has been playing absolutely spectacularly. SAKEN, the 2 games on LeBlanc, have been amazing. Everyone's pulling their weight on this K-Corp team. Now we'll have to see if they can drag themselves across the finish line as we move into the game.
And this is it for UCAM, do or die at this point. If you lose this game, you're out of EU Masters. We saw the other day Movistar Riders also get knocked out. If UCAM go out here, then it's all up to Vodafone Giants for the Spanish scene to keep their dreams alive. Which up until this point, you know, the Spanish have had a pretty good EU Masters. They've done very well. You know, Movistar, you know, got through the play-ins, came first in their group, but weren't able to get out of quarters. UCAM, obviously a tough matchup here into KC, but still, if the Spanish region wants to really prove like they can keep up with the likes of the LFL, then you've got to win this one. You've got to bring it back. KC looking like that unstoppable force, going for the back-to-back spring into summer.
Of course, winner of this series will be going up against Big, who had such a dominant quarterfinal in their own right yesterday. So it's going to need to be hard preparations for both of these teams. K-Corp, though, if they can get the 3-0 themselves, it's going to be a scary prospect for both sides going into that one.
It's very true. Yeah, it definitely doesn't end here if you're, you know, this is, if you can do that miracle run, turn it around, get a reverse sweep, well, we're up against Big, who also looked very dominant in their 3-0 win yesterday. So, yeah, we've got a lot of good teams here in the E-Masters, a lot of good regions able to just really prove just how much talent there is here in EU. And for sure, like, you're going to see some of these names in the LEC one day. And maybe you have seen some of these names already in the LEC. Speaking of Cabochard in that top side, who's been very dominant so far in this series, has had quite a series in the sense of its statistics, but has always had the pressure in the lane, always had that first move. And it's really worked out for KC and their ability to move around the map.
And it will be on Dreedy on this Jayce, something with a little bit more priority, a little bit more impetus that can do stuff earlier on with that explosive damage and with the ranged advantage on Cabochard. If he can get something going for himself, because it's been a relatively quiet series from him, hasn't really been able to do too much. But again, when you're against Cabochard in this kind of form, it's difficult.
Yeah, he's definitely not been dealt an easy hand. But if we are just gonna look at it objectively, Cabo is a problem that you need to have an answer for. And UCAM so far, Dreedy they've not had that answer. They really haven't. Things should be different now though with this Jayce into Wukong, as Hadess is hovering topside, not on a ward, although I think he walked past one in the river, so Cabochard's going to know that he's sniffing about and not fall prey to that early game.
UCAM forced under tower this game, and they're already going to lose out on a plate. Nice play to stop the Zenith play, but the stun comes down to Targamas. He has to flash away, but the flash follows through, and Rafitta picks up first blood. xMatty goes over the wall, can't find a return kill. So once again, it's a marksman picking up the first kill.
Shades of game number 1, a 2v2 kill in that bot side. Again, it's UCAM. I think UCAM's bot lane has played really, really well. Specifically, Hantera in this series has just been phenomenal with making these plays. Being the best player by far for me on this Spanish roster, but we'll see now. The challenge is to translate that bot lane lead. You know, you have that power in that Ez, in that Leona now to like look for more plays, to go for some more aggressive stuff, pair him up with like the Syndra, the Lee Sin. You can do it.
Can Cinkrof make a play happen top? Is Dreedy gonna try and run away? Gonna knock back Cabochard, but here's the jungler. Nice stun coming on through with the red buff rolling as well. It's a double flash that maybe wasn't needed, but KC won't care.
Oh, there's another kill on the bot side though. Matty's dead.
Oh, that's not great in the return, but UCAM will be happy to pick themselves up the kill lead again.
And that's pretty big. There's a lot of minions there going the way of KC's bot side. Specific, like it's heading towards bot side, which Matty won't pick up. You can see instead he's pathing to mid. So hopefully for him, he won't be too shortchanged in this one. That was a good roam down, a good dive there from UCAM. We already saw them have a good early game in that game 1. And I did want to see them match more of the skirmishing from KC. And this is it, yeah, like 4-man strong in the bot side. Not too much you can do about this one, I'm afraid. The power of that Leona CC is going to be comboed in with the Syndra. Just can't move. Nothing you can do about that one. 2 kills to UCAM's bot laner as well. Ezreal sitting pretty. Which
we saw in the first game, so hold your horses on too much excitement because we all know how that one turned out. But this is a different look bot lane. We've got the Ezreal Leona as opposed to the Jinx Thresh. This time Thresh is with Targamas, who is sitting in that bush, looking to make a dive happen himself. Nice death sentence, and the damage coming on through onto Hantera. Maybe enough to keep him away from tower long enough to secure the kill. SAKEN picks up that one, and now they look towards Rafitta. Hadess coming in from behind as well, but the stun the CC is equally powerful. Rafitta goes down, but can they get return kills? He goes over the wall. Hadess can't follow, but now he's in the firing line. Nice flash away from the stun from Cinkrof. Can he try and get away? No, he can't. He goes down. The reset is enough, but Baca's here now. It's still a 4-on-1. It's just the 4th edition of it, but Baca's alive for a second longer. Targamas secures the kill. Finally, they get a return onto xMatty, but it's a 4-for-1 dive.
Disaster for UCAM. They had the power, they had the pressure in the early. They were making it happen, and what a dive. What a sequence of dives from KC. My goodness, it all starts with Thresh just sitting in that bush. UCAM know this is happening. Absolutely know this is there. I think it's a bit greedy just to walk up like that. You've got to respect it. Maybe you don't think there's going to be 4 people, so there's not quite as much happening potentially. But Cinkrof in this Leona is also a big deal because that's a big stun going down right there. Plus the extra resistances from your W to tank up some of that tower shot. It's just, the fact that they're able to pick up 4 kills in this one really does break UCAM's back. Plus all the summoners that are used, Baca having a flash away from that one as well, means that the next few minutes could be just as spicy.
Dive me once, shame on me. Dive me 4 times, shame on me, even more so. Because they were just literally walking under that tower. And yes, you said when there are 4 members there, maybe you're not aware. But as soon as those 4 members show and kill your support, you're working under perfect information at that point. So...
Yeah, I hear ya. It's just, okay. I'm just gonna give a lot of credit to UCAM. Sorry, to KC on that one though, because the way they executed it was pretty good, right?
True.
It is pretty early on in the game, so perhaps you're not quite thinking that, you know, that type of play is on the cards. But yeah, this is just why UCAM's so scary. Sorry, KC is so scary. They're so good in that early game. They're so good when it comes to picking these brawls and skirmishes. And I mean, I thought this Azir would slow the game down, man. He's 2-0-1. He's huge. He's not slowed down at all.
There's a small advantage coming on through if UCAM have themselves a good positioning over this dragon, which they did have, but they've been forced away by KC now. Are UCAM just gonna have to sit back and try and farm themselves into this game a little bit after that last play? Because it's only 1,500 gold in their pockets deficit.
Yeah,
but that's still pretty significant for 8 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like the end of the world as far as the deficit goes. Like for sure, you're definitely right. But it's still, yeah, considering they had like that start 2 kills onto Ez, the fact that you're still, you know, 1.5k down is pretty not great. But yeah, you definitely can't rest on your laurels like to sit back. You absolutely can't sit back if you're UCAM here. The likes of xMatty, you know, and that Aphelios being paired with a Thresh as well. You know, with the Azir, so much scaling on the side of KC. Their team fights with again like Azir and then comboing with Cabochard is way too much. If you sit back, KC's just going to take over the game. They're champions just by nature of those champions. It's just going to happen unless you can find those picks, get people out of position. In which case, you know, sure, if you go late and you're constantly fighting 4v5 in your favor, sure, maybe you can win those team fights. And you can do have the tools to make that happen. But I don't think they want to slow down at this point at all. They're going to keep on the gas. Here's a counter play topside. Synchro's on his way.
Cinkrof trying to make a play happen onto Dreedy, forces the flash and gets the damage down. Will Jayce be able to get away? No, he won't. And now there's the reset coming into the Viego. Kicked on the tower as Cabochard looks to press on, diving onto Baca, getting some damage through. Needs to be careful about the unleashed power, which will be unleashed, but it doesn't matter because Wukong is still alive and picks up the second kill of the fight. Hadess will also be cut down. It's 3 easy kills going over to KC.
It's a tragedy right here for UCAM. They had the resources. They put 3 people to this play. They read it. They knew everything that was happening right here. They wanted to bait this one in, but unfortunately, it just even in the 2v3, KC are just still too much. And because of how this fight goes down, they buy enough time for Thresh to come looping rounds as well. It's just, yeah, no summoners either. Baca mentioned that from the last play. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, KC. Even when UCAM are making the plays, making the theoretically good plays, KC is still coming out on top.
And that's the struggle, because you said that they needed to try and keep this game rolling because they couldn't just rest and try and hope that they find their way back in if the game is neutral for a while. That doesn't really work for them. But as you said, they made the correct play. That was the right decision. But it still ended with them losing 3 members and the Rift Herald.
Yeah, the execution was just a little bit off. They're just a little bit too slow on that. And now you just take a look at the items in this game. Like it's like a 4K gold lead. Cabo's got his mythic. So has Cinkrof. Like, it's just so scary right here when you're comparing it to the itemization of the enemy team. There's nothing you have to be afraid of right now if you're KC. It's so much power in your pocket. I mean, just look at this damage Hantera's going to take. Ouch.
Just being burnt through, being cut through, will be able to survive, but that's way too much damage to be taking early on Leona. And Cinkrof, we talked about players having exceptional games from KC. We talked about Cabo, we talked about SAKEN. The jungler from Corp, Cinkrof, have been having an exceptional series so far.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cinkrof is a phenomenal jungler. We've seen his name so much in E-Masters, and it's always the same. Polish junglers absolutely cracked, man. And Cinkrof is just no exception at all. For sure, you're going to see this guy in ADC at some point. Absolutely, I would put my money on that. And he reads the map really well. I think that's the best thing about him. He reads the map really well, and he's got a good knack for these skirmishes. That's why a champion like Viego is really well suited for him. Is just another thorn in the side of UCAM right here. Look at that. You got 4 members of KC that are winning in the gold race right now. 11 minutes into the game. Hadess specifically really struggling compared to Cinkrof. It's looking difficult, very difficult.
Dreedy flashing over the wall, but will be followed by Cabo. Gets the second knockup, but will be knocked back. Looks like the dive is on from the Monkey King, though. And it's really as simple as that. Cabo, though, takes a few tower shots on the way out, but he'll be fine overall.
There it is. This is where it all starts crumbling down. It wasn't looking good already, obviously, but when you're getting soloed over at this point in the game with your Jayce is losing so hard that he can't even just not die in his lane, it's looking really tough right here. The picks from UCAM in that draft, looking to really take it to KC in that early, has not paid off. They're really struggling right now. KC are having everything they want and more.
We talked about this as we were going into Champs League. We were saying, well, they've got this problem. What solution are they going to try and find? They're going to lose out red buff, but UCAM, they went one direction. They went with the let's try and win so that we're in a position to skirmish ahead. We're coming to the 12-minute mark, and that's not really been the case.
No. I think that's a very light way of putting what we're seeing right now, Will, mate. 5,000 gold down at 12 minutes. Yeah, it's not really the case. It's not really winning these enemies.
Yeah, I
No,
mean...
they're not. They're not winning it in the slightest, man. They get absolutely porked across the map. It's so difficult for these guys at this point. And like they're just going to keep going, dragon spawning again. It's going to be the second dragon of the game. They're just taking literally everything right now. There's nothing that UCAM can do to respond.
They'll have to find some solution at some point in this game if they want to keep their hopes of European Masters alive. Because of course they're already 2-0 down in this best of 3 series. Loser goes home. Winner goes up against Big in that semi-final matchup, another best of 5. And yeah, it's a hard prospect, but looking at the way Karmine Corp have been playing, potentially, very potentially up to the challenge in that one, assuming that they do win this series.
Yep, and it's a great start so far for them. It's, yeah, I mean, this game is just so beyond, isn't it? Look at it, 27k to 20k. KC don't even care about objectives, they're just fighting. Oh, it's a murder. It's a murder in the Rift.
It's away, but it's so difficult to see. And look at the damage coming on through. Targamas goes golden, but Cinkrof is there. Actually, this tower dive might have gone a little step too far. Nice ornament cutting down 1, cutting down 2. The kill's coming in for Rafitta. Yes, Dreedy died off screen, but it's a 2-for-1 in that play. UCAM, it's little, but it's something.
It's something
more here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my god. Yeah, and Hadess
it's still something. It's still
box.
something. It's still something.
Yep. Okay, so 2 kills, great. Getting that shutdown as well onto Rafitta. You now see your silver lining in this game. You now see that kind of light at the end of the tunnel. If you are going to look to get into this one, if you are going to try and make it happen, you've got Rafitta. You know, he's strong. He's very strong at this point. He can sling out those skill shots, do a decent amount of damage to pretty much anyone on the side of KC. But at the same time, obviously, you're still staring down the barrel right here. We're going to take another look at this play. Just a little bit greedy, honestly, from KC. It's a good hook, exactly as you say. Hadess kind of just, you know, yeah, you take that one for me, bro. That's going to be cool. But it's just, yeah, the 2 kills are great. Wait, how does Dreedy die from this spot? He's got flash.
Yes.
Okay.
The old flash Q.
Yeah. Thought we might see that one come in, but that's fair enough. Yeah, those 2 kills, big thing for Rafitta. If that is your avenue to get back into the game, that's what you're going to have to focus on here. What happens to Hadess? Yeah, he just dies.
xMatty just shoots him, really, which you're not surprised by. xMatty on the Aphelios has been playing exceptionally well this series. I think the last game, the team left him a little bit high and dry when they were diving forward, but this is how xMatty has been playing this tournament. He's so great individually. His team can trust him not to be a liability in those situations. Hadess sent over the wall to Cinkrof to his death. He can decide to take a way out if he wants to. xMatty will be able to stumble out of that one, though, as Cinkrof looks to get the re-engage down onto Baca. The silver comes through, and it's a really nice one from Hantera, but the fight's still going. Cabo breaks it up, and Syndra goes down. Another easy kill for the LFL side. They are running rampant this series.
KC were one of the most dominant winners that we've seen in EU Masters history with their win in 2021 spring, the very last EU Masters that we had, and here in summer in the quarterfinals. Essentially unchanged in their roster aside from top lane. Adam obviously going to Fnatic, Cabochard joining instead, and it's looking like a repeat of what we saw in spring. Phenomenally dominant play. This game 3 right here, if KC were to pick it up, which they are 10,000 gold in the lead at 17 minutes, would mean they're going through to the semi-finals. And at this point, from what we've seen, you have to say they are favorites to get that back-to-back, something we have never seen before here at UM.
It's never been done, and KC, a little bit worried about their gold lead, to grab themselves the second Rift Herald to try and break open this inner tower in the top lane. But this game's going bad to worse for the Spanish side. UCAM haven't had a moment's respite so far. Only 17 minutes in. The gold lead, as you said, more than 10,000 now.
It's big.
It's...
like, you don't have to be an expert in Lega Legends to know that 10,000 gold in the lead is fairly significant. And it's something that, you know, we talk about insurmountable leads. I would say this is definitely within that category. But we did see Rafitta get those kills. He's now sitting on 2 items, got that mythic done as well. Obviously, I am playing a very hopeful fiddle here. Hopefully this tune resonates with some of the Spanish viewers. I'm not necessarily optimistic all in all, but there is at least something there with that is having those items.
I mean, both of these regions do have a chance tomorrow to see teams representing, battling it out once again. But if things go the way that they're looking like they will, it will be a pretty emphatic advantage to the LFL side in that matchup. I saw we had a graphic over on the social media earlier today through the history of the LFL versus the Spanish region. Honestly, real close. Teams, they've just, some of the names representing each of these regions over the years, loads and loads of talent coming out of them.
Absolutely. Oh man, these historically have been like the two best regions that we have here. Best regional leagues, producing so much talent.
Well, the UKLC back in the day, lest we forget.
Right, that's true. We've got good old Alfari now raking it in over in North America.
Exactly.
He's a product of the UK scene. Very true actually. Aside from that, obviously, clear exception being the UK scene.
Oh yeah, of
A lot of
course.
Spanish and French players in the LEC making their mark. Obviously, names like Alioya being very good, coming through from Spain, and Adam in that top side for Fnatic most recently. We'll see these two regions battling out. It's always fun to see it, and like you say, we'll see it again tomorrow with Misfits versus Vodafone Giants. That is going to be a fun one, as Cabochard's got a good position.
Oh, there's the fight starting, but it's a little bit slower than usual. Cabochard is a little bit on his own, but they've managed to catch out Rafitta on the side. The monkey is still alive. He's diving on forward. Baca goes down, but Cabochard gets kicked away. More kills going over. Notably, Ezreal was secured in that fight. 5 seconds on Baron at 20 minutes.
Yep.
KC can definitely take it.
Yep, this they can. There are some games where you think, ooh, 20-minute Baron, maybe that's a little bit much. Not this one. They're not even going to send all their members to it. They're splitting their team. 3 on Baron, 2 on Dragon. We're going to see this one again. UCAM, they've been looking for these plays. They've been looking for the opportunities to get in, to maybe catch KC out of position, because they know they're not going to win an equal or a fair fight. You have to find the catch. You have to catch KC sleeping. Unfortunately, that presents itself with some risk. That risk being exactly what you just saw on your screen there. It is going to be that Baron going over to KC. 20 minutes into the game. 14,000 gold in the lead for the French representatives. It is an absolute slaughter.
The question here is, how are KC going to close it out? What's their game plan? What's the most efficient way that they can look to try and end this game without giving UCAM any opportunity to come back into it?
I honestly think at this point, you don't need to overthink it too much. 14,000 is ridiculous. It's like almost every single person on the side of KC is essentially 3,000 gold ahead, more or less, which is basically a full item. It's really huge difference. You can see the levels as well. There's a big difference there, like a lot 2-level advantage in top, bot, and in mid. It's just. It's so tough. Obviously, you're going to play for objectives. You've got the Dragon Soul coming up in 5 minutes if you really need to rely on that, but I don't think we're going to get to that point. KC can just barrel it down whatever lane they want to do. They can go for dives. You know, Azir can shuffle people out. Cabochard can go in with that Wukong as well. It might seem a bit risky to go for the dives, but I don't. Yeah, you're just going to kill people.
Yeah, Hantera, he's tanky, but is he tanky enough? They've already killed the Syndra, they've already killed the Leona, and K-Corp with Baron buff, they've got the Sun Disc at their back as well. They're going to be able to start sieging towards this base.
Easy as you like there. Hadess is on the flank. Well, we'll see this replay further. It's a little bit too far out. There's nowhere safe on the Rift right here. Absolutely nowhere. Hantera, I think maybe trying to save Rafitta there, but either way. Just 2 quick kills. Even if this was under tower, I don't think UCAM will be able to hold on. Let's be real. I think this is just an absolute... Mate, I've been playing Doom recently, and it feels like the Doom guy versus the demons in this one. KC are just splattering UCAM across the Rift.
Karmine core in the enemy base, 2 inhibitors down, still have a Baron rolling and looking for the fight. The Emperor of Shariva has risen as Rafitta and Hadess, 2 stand strong, kick Cabo, but not into the fountain. Lee Sin steps to the platform. Will he survive? No, he won't. They take down Cabochard, but it just does not matter. Rafitta chased away from his own Nexus. The death sentence lands from Targamas. He's been taking lessons from Hantera this entire series. And just like that, the NLC, the LFL, and the Prime League all have their first reps into the semi-finals.
What a series. What a statement series from KC. Wow. Yesterday we saw a 3-0 in the favor of Big, and I thought that was one-sided. My goodness. KC was something else in this one, weren't they? That was absolutely... I don't even really have the words for it. It was just ridiculous, insane, and terrifying as well. Big going to be playing versus KC in the next round. I am shaking in my boots.
That is going to be such a great series. Two teams that were so dominant in their quarterfinals. And not against bad teams. UCAM didn't necessarily step up to the level that we'd want to see from them in this matchup. But I don't think that was completely on them. I think KC, they're just on a completely different level at the moment.
Yeah, legit. I would like to see KC in ADC. Easy middle of the pack, I reckon. Maybe not playoffs, but still, like, genuinely, they're that good. They are a very, very good team. They are the favorites for me to take it all in the EU Masters Summer.
It's going to be really exciting to see this team advance through. Obviously, for UCAM, it's disappointing that we don't get to see them go further. There were some excellent performers throughout the entirety of the tournament. Hantera, obviously, massive shout out for this series specifically. Definitely looked like a bunch of players who will go far, but unfortunately not in this tournament. They are going to be heading home. But we're not done here just yet on the Amazon European Masters. We're going to be jumping towards a short break. When we come back, we're going to be hearing from the winning side. Cinkrof will be joining us. But in the meantime, make sure to listen in to the Warner song of the day, Awu, Loverboy. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.
He's going to flash in, and he steals the bird! How did that connect by Edgeway?
Dreedy as EU Masters champions.
Yeah, you can call me lover boy. They say I throw my heart around, and you can
Corp take down UCAM in a 3-0 fashion, showing that it wasn't a fluke in spring here at the Amazon European Masters. A very convincing series, and I must say, Dagda, it was a series that didn't necessarily deliver as we said at the expedition at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, I really expected a lot more coming through from UCAM, especially when we kind of looked at how they drafted throughout the course of the series, right? We kind of looked at game number 1 and we're like, oh, this is a draft that functions best when you play around the Camille topside with the Galio. Didn't get that for Dreedy. Again, coming into game number 3, we saw them try and draft towards Dreedy once more, taking the Jayce. You've got that weak side Ezreal bot lane, and they ganked bot again. Like, it felt like the entire time throughout this series, there was kind of like this mixed identity on UCAM where they tried to hard focus the bot lane, get Rafitta into a good spot, even when it came towards the bans, but they then left SAKEN with so much to work with. It just felt like it was a bit all over the place.
I think the big issue for me was UCAM were trying to play through bot, but specifically through bot.
Yeah.
Whereas the way that Corp were playing is they played through mid to play through the rest of the map, right? You get mid control, you transfer that pressure top lane or bot lane, as we saw in the last game. Whereas for me, it felt like UCAM were like, let's just go bot. Oh, wait, there's an enemy mid laner here, there's an enemy jungler, even all sorts. And it just felt like that sort of lack of setting up in advance really made them struggle here.
And Corp are now looking at a back-to-back win in European Masters. It's never been done before. They could be the first one to do so. And the way they've played this series make me kind of scared because they end up against Big. I wonder what Big can do, as we saw that early game yesterday against PDW.
I think they shouldn't do what UCAM did in this situation to start off with. I thought that was a little bit of a mistake.
A big no-no.
Yeah, I certainly think, though, going forward, like, it's going to be about trying to contain the solo laners, right? I think that was the big takeaway from this series for me, is that Karmine Corp are really starting to perfect the style which we're seeing in the meta. Get your Targamas unlocked, move them around the map, work with Cinkrof, and play through strong solo laners like the Twisted Fate, like we were seeing coming through with the Rise previously for SAKEN as well, and most certainly like getting Cabochard onto something comfortable where you can take over again.
I think the thing in my mind is top diff is mid diff, which is jungle diff, which is support diff. It just all
which eventually is team
Checks
diff.
out.
Team diff, literally. And I think mid, not specifically mid lane, but the entire the middle area of the map, having control of that, allowing your mid laner to move first, I think for the side of Big going up against them, that is going to be absolutely vital. And we've seen Akabane be a player who does put emphasis on that, but you need to make sure your team's on the entire same page, because honestly, I think Corp, they had a very good understanding of how to do that, and they looked better than they looked in the LFL playoffs, they looked better than they looked in the group stages. They really looked like they hit the final form here.
I mean, draft was also made a bit awkward because of the fact that they didn't pick up the mid lane in the first rotation, would ended up banning them out extra mid laners on the side of Corp. Now they pick up the Syndra again, and once again, as you said, it's not really happening around that mid part there, but SAKEN, I need to say it once again, that is one scary mid laner.
Yeah, and that, I think, is the big difference maker for me, as opposed to what we saw from PDW, right? Like SAKEN, much more active, punishing on this LeBlanc pick. We talked about how his leans were so crucial to Corp getting these.
He kind of punished in Azir too.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of nuts, but that's the thing, right? It was all about using that priority. We saw him moving down with that dive onto the bottom lane, taking a whole heap of the pressure away from that bot side and setting up Corp for success. And I think that's going to be the difference maker between PDW and Corp, is how they are willing to use the map with the mid lane and also unlocking their support. They seem to be just far better at it.
You said PDW, but you mean Big, as we are going to look a bit at the bracket as well, because Big versus Corp, we already set out like the 3 big favorites in the first day of the quarterfinal. It was Big, it was Corp, and his Misfits premiere. Misfits premiere will be the series we'll be seeing tomorrow, but first, talk about Corp and Big. We already did it a little bit. Early game is very important. That is what I take out of all the points you just made.
I think looking at Big in their series, they look like they have complete control of the early game. Very explosive gameplay, which we saw from the rest of the series. If I hadn't seen Corp play today, I probably would say Big should look to sort of capitalize on that and take that to them. But honestly, Corp today, they were really on point with their early game. And again, I think that mid lane is so vital. It's something we highlighted in that series, so important for Big. It's also been really important in this series. So I feel like the fight to control that area, to have a good matchup, to have your support roaming up, to have your jungler able to influence, it is all going to come down to that. And the entire map is going to be shaped by that fight in the mid lane.
I think not only this series, the entire tournament, we've been talking about jungle, mid, support. Those 3 roles, like, it's broken.
Yeah, I mean, it was what I said on day one, right? When I arrived here, was like, this is the thing that you need to look at. This is what, for me, is defining the meta at the moment. And I think that's going to be the big thing we're looking at as well, is how does the support get involved in that mid-jungle 2v2? Because what we looked at yesterday not yesterday, when we saw Big was, hey, look, these guys, they are very good in the mid-jungle 2v2, and we're shutting down Cubic from having those roam potentials, but they're not actually getting their own support as heavily involved. When we looked at today, it was Targamas having a big impact on these roams. We saw the Pyke, we saw him getting out on the map with the Leona. Like, these were things that were so crucial to the victory.
And I think the big thing is 3 beats 2, right? It's a bigger number. It's simple maths. And it's if you can't stop Targamas from moving, which honestly, I feel like Targamas, the entire time we've seen him as a support, he has been so good at finding these roam opportunities. I feel like if you can't shut that down, you're going to end up facing 3 members mid. They're going to have control. And I feel like it's not enough to attempt to shut him down. You need to unleash your own support. We need to see Ciaz really unlocked in doing this.
Then I want to open up the conversation of the series tomorrow. It's going to be, again, LVP versus LFL. Misfits Premier are taking on the Vodafone Giants. Vodafone Giants were the first seed from LVP. They were above UCAM. Misfits Premier is the first seed out of the LFL. If we see what happened to the LVP today, I'm afraid that Vodafone Giants will have a bad time, especially in the jungle.
Yeah, I think the jungle is going to be huge. I think if you end up with a bit of a mismatch there, a lot of that is going to start spilling over, and especially down into that bottom lane to a large amount as well. I feel like that's going to be where 2 junglers are going to be focusing. I think we'll be looking to see if they can get these early, more like Lee Sins, the Xin Zhaos, to have that big impact. Because for me, like, Attila has been kind of the focal point for Vodafone Giants. You're looking towards Woolite as well, who's been such a big carry. Like, that guy's Aphelios performance was insane.
Not only that, I remember as Ezreal from the group stage, I think he literally in 1v9, he did like 1,000 damage plus per minute. That was insane.
And I think that's the thing. Both of these AD carries and both these teams very capable of, carrying as their role entails. But the big thing is an AD carry needs gold to carry. It's just a fundamental thing, and it comes down to that team play like we saw today. I do think we've seen positives from them. xMatty has been an absolute monster in the jungle. I think that the way we see the mid-jungle support working together on Giants is positive, but it really will come down to who can set up that carry better to really take over the game.
Yeah, especially since we get like little to no attention towards the top side of the map. Like the Antonio, totally fine to just sit there. He'll play tanks. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was surprised too. I had to double check, but yeah. And then same for Aggressivo, right? He gets very little attention coming through from Misfits Premier. So I honestly think that we'll be looking heavily from that mid down to the bottom side and trying to see if we can get those nice roams off.
I mean, what we do end up now with UCAM being eliminated as well, being knocked out of the European Masters, we see Vodafone Giant as the sole representative of the LVP. And starting in the quarterfinals, there were 3 LVP seeds who came in. Now only one of them is left.
Yeah, and it's a fundamental thing with the Masters. I mean, any tournament like this, it doesn't matter how many teams, it matters on the quality. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to plow through everyone regardless. And I think we've kind of seen that the French seeds so far have looked really on point. They both came out as first seed in their group. K-Corp have shown their dominance here, looking towards Misfits Premier, who are obviously the first seed, but the caveat is Vodafone Giants were the first seed from the Superliga. They have looked really strong within their group stage, so if anyone's going to challenge them, I think that's the potential to do it, but it's still a big ask. LFL, once again, looking on top.
We'll have to wait for tomorrow to see that happen as we are signing off from here at the Amazon European Masters. I want to thank you for watching and hopefully see you tomorrow for Vodafone Giants versus Misfits Premier. It's again LVP versus LFL, the last hope for the Spanish region. Can they pull it off, or will Spain be completely eliminated from the European Masters? Only Spain. Till tomorrow.